What's up guys, back at it again, here with a new video where I got a new mic. I think the mic is cool. It's a brand new mic and I think it has better quality than the other one I was using. And I'll probably still use the other one, but I like this one a lot. It just feels more professional, you know, and nice. And so yeah, this is a new mic and a new video is coming out on this soon. And so yeah, this is part of a new series where it's called Gaming Computers and How They Work. And so we're going to be talking about the different parts of a gaming computer, or computers in general, and basically going over each part and how they work. And today we're talking about motherboards, probably the most boring one of them all. And so yeah, so I'm going to be talking about what a motherboard is overall. I'm going to be talking about different parts of a motherboard and how you yourself can get a motherboard. And so yeah, here we go. Alright, we're going to start off with overall explanation of what a motherboard is. A motherboard is basically the basis for a computer. I'd say you literally can't have a computer without this thing, and this is the base for a computer. This is pretty much one of the first things you get for a computer, and overall without this, I mean, a lot of devices can't work. So most devices that have like screens and compute, even the smallest things, have motherboards. For example, like a Raspberry Pi or a regular gaming motherboard, or what's some other things, like just regular, like laptop motherboards are different. What I have is a desktop motherboard, and so for towers and big PCs like the one that I have. And so yeah, so I'm going over desktop motherboards today. So a motherboard basically connects all of the parts and connects everything and runs everything to each other. And so now we're going to be going over the parts of a motherboard. So parts of a motherboard. Let me put my mic over here.
A few moments later.
Alright, I got my microphone on a stand here, and now we're just gonna, this stand's broken. It has a broken bracket, but we're gonna go with it. So, here is the motherboard, and it has a lot of different parts to it, but the main, like, part to this, I mean, okay, if you were to have power, and you were to have this part, and one other part, it would all work. It would all be good. You would be able to do anything. CPU. This is the CPU slot and bracket here. By the way, just for clearance, I'll show you. This motherboard's broken, and so this is the reason why I'm not being very gentle with it. I mean, I could chuck it and I wouldn't care. This is a CPU socket, and this is for an Intel CPU. I don't know what chipset it actually belongs to. I haven't done all my research, but yeah, this is a CPU socket, and this is basically where the CPU goes, which I'll explain what that does in another video. But basically, it's all of the like computing, like actual like computing process that happens in here with a CPU that you put in. You'll take that and you'll put it in here, and then basically you have a computer. As long as you have power running and stuff, you have a computer. So yeah, this is where the CPU goes. And though this thing is broken because with Intel CPUs, see these little pins right here? See those little pins? That'll have some pictures up there with some bent pins. They're bent. So this is what a normal motherboard chips. This is what a normal CPU socket would look like, and this is what the problem with this bent pins. And with bent pins, it's with motherboard bent pins, it's very hard to fix them. It's very, very hard unless you're like a surgeon with like the steadiest hands possible. You're done, buddy. I mean,
You're done.
you can't really do much about that. And I mean, you might as well go for it because it's broken now. So you either can try to fix it, and you can try to fix it until one of these pins break off. And if a pin breaks off, you're screwed. I mean, you're done. I mean, if a pin breaks on the motherboard, you're done, buddy. And because those pins, if you have one of them missing, then an entire like process could be messed up and can ruin things and can short a CPU out or do something terrible. You could literally start a fire, I'm pretty sure, with a broken pin. But more details in the CPU video. If you have a CPU with a broken pin, it can survive depending on what pin is broken. You might as well try it for a bit, maybe run some tests. But yeah, that's for a different video. But yeah, this motherboard is screwed, and I'm not gonna fix these. Maybe it depends on if I get an Intel CPU or not, and I put it in a computer or whatever. But yeah, and so yeah, this is a CPU socket, and what this is a CPU bracket. And so what you'll do is you'll put the CPU on there. Put it on there, and then you'll basically get this lever, push it onto that, and then you'll push this lever, and then there's a little notch under here which you push the lever under and it locks it in place and keeps it nice and safe. And then another part that the motherboard has, you get the CPU socket, then you get the RAM slots. I might be asking, what's a RAM slot? A RAM slot is where RAM goes. Yeah. it's where RAM goes. So what is RAM? Well, just a quick explanation. I'm going to go over this in a different video, but RAM is basically, how do I explain this? It's basically what helps the processing get done, and it's also referred to as memory for your computer, and it's not really storage. There's a difference between storage and memory, because memory is RAM, and that helps with computing, processing, visual processing, and graphic processing. And overall, it's the backbone to a CPU. And I'm pretty sure it is essential to have some bit of RAM in a PC. Otherwise, it doesn't have the backbone, and the CPU can't do what it needs to do, and it just doesn't work. And so yeah, so there's 4 of these, and basically, when you want to put RAM in, you'll have all of these different little things in or out. So when you go to put it in, you need to have it out, and then when you put the RAM in, you push it in. Well, I don't have a spare stick on me, but basically you'll get the RAM and then you'll push it in, and I'll have some little video playing on there. You push it in and it locks in place. And so yeah, and now you might be asking, well, like, what is RAM? Well, like, RAM, okay, so RAM is the backbone, and it comes in gigs. So like, technically you can get 1 gig of RAM, but it usually comes in 8 gigs, 16 gigs, and 32 gig sticks of RAM. And so you can technically, and I'm pretty sure there are also 64 gigabyte sticks, but those are very expensive, and I've never seen one in my life. And so yeah, so technically you could have like hundreds of gigs of RAM in here, but a normal person, like if you're a normal person just doing like office work, I mean, this is going to be explained in a later video, but you're gonna want around 8 gigs. And then for gamers, you're gonna want 16, depending on what games you play. If you're playing like esports titles like Fortnite or Rocket League or something like that, you're gonna want 16 gigs. That's enough to get you anywhere. And then for AAA titles, like trying to think of one off my head, Starfield, or I cannot think of one. Eve, I think that's one. I don't know. I don't play any AAAs, so you're gonna want, I would say, more than 16 gigs. I'd say 32, because like it has a lot of computing in it and it has a lot of things behind it. Does GTA count as AAA? It just depends on what game you're playing. If you're running an RTX like 40 series, you're gonna want like 16 gigs of RAM. If you're running like okay, a 4060, 16 gigs. If you're running like a 4070 or up, you're gonna want 32-ish gigs. Again, it also depends on what game you're playing. So, okay, maybe not RTX 4070, maybe like 4070 Super. 4070 Super and up, you pretty much need 32 gigs because you're already aiming for those big games and you're gonna need the RAM to match the graphics card. So yeah, which graphics cards will come in a later video. And so yeah, so RAM slots. Now there are particular RAM slots that work together. I forget what the name is called, but basically it's like dual channel. So like one thing I really like about this motherboard in particular is that it has the 2 colors of what RAM slots you want to use. As far as my knowledge goes, the first and third one is the best, and then if you don't want to use that for some reason, you can go second and fourth. And so yeah, and if you're using 2 different kits of RAM, then each of those will have at least 2 sticks. So you'll have first kit and then first kit and then second kit. You want them to match. And so because it's something like dual channeled or something like that, where those 2 channels of memory come together, dual channeling. I got that wording right. And so yeah, those are RAM slots. And so now you might be asking, what is this big thing and why does it look like a RAM slot? Well, this is not a RAM slot. This is a PCIe slot. I think I got that right. Otherwise known as where you put your GPU. And you know, I'm just gonna stop there. Basically, all you need to know is this is where you put your GPU, your graphics card, your RTX 3070 or 3080 or RTX 4090. Super whatever TI. I don't know, but yeah, this is where you put your graphics card. And you don't necessarily need a graphics card, so it all depends on, I'll go into later detail for CPUs, but a CPU that has integrated graphics. And integrated graphics is when the CPU can basically put something on your screen. Like laptops, they have CPUs and they don't have GPUs most of the time, and basically they have their own like graphics things. And when I mean graphics, I mean putting things on the screen, putting things on your screen or laptop screen or something like that. And so yeah, so you would put your GPU in here, and so basically you would just slide it in, which I have a GPU around here somewhere. So basically, this is a broken RTX 3070. You'll basically just get your GPU, and then you'll just push it on in. You'll hear a little click from this little bracket lever here, and then now you got a graphics card in here. So let me just pull this out real quick. Then to pull it out, you'll press down that lever and pull out. So yeah, and so yeah. So graphics card slot. So there are different gens of PCIe or graphics card slots, and obviously the newest generation is better, and the newer it is, the better it is. But yeah, so this is so I don't know what generation this is. Whatever generation comes from 2002? No, I don't think that's right. How old is this thing? I have no idea how old this thing is. Also, I might be wrong about the CPU bracket. I'm pretty sure this is AMD bracket, but I'm pretty sure I said Intel. Anyway, getting back on topic. There are 2 of these slots, and technically you can have 2 GPUs, but you don't need 2 GPUs unless you're smart enough to have 2 GPUs, and you only need one. You only need one. That's all you need. That's all you would want. And you're only a madman if you put 2 GPUs in a computer, because honestly, the only thing you're getting out of it is having more screens, I believe, and having the processing power to run all those screens. Also, for processing things like a lot of AI training machines have multiple GPUs in them, so yeah, but you don't need that. Alright, and so what is next? Alright, so the next main thing you need to know about, I guess, would be power. So up here is CPU power connector. This powers the CPU. And then over here is a motherboard power connector. This big thing right here, that goes to that. This is a USB 3 header. And basically this thing, this one, most of these, all these like small little headers right here, these pins are for fans and CPU fans and RGB. That's about it. There's nothing special about those except you can have different like types. So like you got these types, I don't know what those are called because I'm dumb. And then you got these types. Wait, no, that's not. Then you got like the regular 4-pin, and then you get 8-pin. Wait, that's not 8, that's 7. Wait, that's not 7, that's something. Yeah, so there's all kinds of different pins for RGB and things like that. That's all power. This little one right here is a SATA port for SATA drives, which is storage, which we'll get to the storage slot in a second. So I guess we'll go over it right now. So this is a SATA slot, which there will be on screen. So a SATA slot is basically, SATA is a type of storage, and so basically you'll just plug that in, and then you get like a terabyte, 2 terabytes, however much is on that SATA drive. So yeah, that's about it. And then these are all the I/O ports, which is pretty simple. I mean, everyone knows what these do. You got this thing, I don't remember what that's called. Then you got USB, you got, what is that called? You got this thing, you got HDMI, you got USB-C, USB, Ethernet, and then a whole bunch of audio jacks. So yeah, and then there's more power, like PCIe power right here, and then yeah, that's pretty much it for power. And so now storage. You do need storage for your computer. This is another essential, which I probably should have gone with earlier. There are 2 different types of storage. You have M.2 storage, SSD M.2 storage, which plugs in right here, and it's basically, I have a picture on the screen, a little card there that you can just plug in and use. And you'll slide it in, and then you'll use a screwdriver, which I don't have on me at the moment, to unscrew this. You'll put it in, screw it in, and then that's their storage, which I'll go over storage in another video. But basically, M.2 or SSDs, whatever, the little card that you see there, is basically the best kind of storage you can get. I mean, it kind of depends on what you're doing, but overall, you would get an M.2 SSD card. They're like this big, and yeah, because that can hold a lot of storage on it. And one thing I don't like about this board is that it only has one. Natural motherboards have multiple, so you can fit multiple terabytes on there. And yeah, and then I mentioned earlier the SATA slot for SATA. Okay, these are for all of your SATA and like hard drive, like spinny discs and things like that. All will go in here. All will plug in here. That's all storage. And overall, this is not as fast as M.2. I always recommend M.2. Keep me on the record for that. M.2 is better than SATA and hard drives and spinny discs. So yeah, and explanation on all of that will come in a different video. So this is the CMOS battery right here, which is just a little lithium battery. And basically what the CMOS does is it's like, I believe it's the BIOS. It's like how the motherboard works, just like the computing behind it. And the purpose of this being open, because this is just power for it, is so you can reset the CMOS, reset the BIOS and everything in case something corrupts or messes up. And so you can basically reset the whole like internal motherboard programming by taking that out and putting it back in. And it's also open, so if it dies, which is very not likely to happen, you can replace it. And so yeah, and then up here you might be wondering what these are. These are VRMs, which basically just has, if you're like a tech, like a electrical person, you'll know these are capacitors, which basically handle all the power, And technically, if you were to take one of these off, it's likely that the motherboard might work, but don't, obviously. I'm just saying, if it happens to break off, it's not a lost cause. But yeah, these whole capacitors and other little parts that I'm not that savvy about, but yeah, so those are VRMs. And so yeah, I think that's all for a motherboard. This is how a motherboard works. And these 4 holes right here are basically where a CPU cooler will go. And I will go over CPUs and CPU coolers and probably the next gaming computer know-how video. And so yeah, so that's a motherboard. Comment down below whether you think that was helpful or not. So I said I would show you how recommend motherboards. So as a person who should not bought that many motherboards. Oh wait, I forgot. This is another motherboard that I have, which I know more about this one because I used it. But I broke a pin somewhere. Where did I break that pin? I broke a pin somewhere, but I forgot where I broke the pin. But so yeah, so there's more. As you can see, there's more PCIe slots. There's 2. Is there 2 on there? No, there's not. So there's 2 of these M.2 slots, these M.2 SSD slots, and then you got 1, 2, 3, 4 SATA slots. Same power. Everything's kind of in the same place. One thing that this thing does not have is USB-C anything, and so yeah, that's kind of a bad thing, I guess. But USB-C, you can always get adapters for everything, so it's not really that hard to just do that. This motherboard has a different type of CPU socket, which I actually know which one this is. This is an AM4 AMD slot. So for AMD chipsets of the AM4 chipset line, and these are still supported. And if you're on a budget, you would probably get what these are called AM4 motherboards, and you'll probably get these. And these are nice because they're good for budget people, because AM4 CPUs are still supported, which I'll go over this in the CPU video, but AM4 CPUs are still supported and they're always cheaper than AM5. Well, not all AM5, but most of the time they're going to be cheaper. And so yeah, this motherboard, I have more experience with it. So, yeah, CMOS, other power things all around, RAM, CPU socket, IO stuff, and yeah, and then this little button right here, I believe is to like power reset this, which will basically just redo everything. It'll just restart the computer and everything. And so yeah, and then I'll have the link to what I currently use in my computer, which I personally like this one. It's an Asus TUF motherboard, and Asus TUF motherboards are overall pretty good, and I like it because it's like a good motherboard, and I actually spent a lot of money on that. Well, not a ton. I spent like, I think a little over, the price will be on the screen, but yeah. So motherboards, that's how they work. It's the basis for a computer. The next video will either be a storage video or a CPU video, possibly a graphics card video. I don't know, because my thing about graphics cards is that there's like a lot of things that go with them. So, but the main thing that you're going to be looking for when building a gaming computer is going to be motherboard. So motherboard, CPU, graphics card. That's all the first top 3 things you're looking for. And so yeah, so this is my motherboard video. Drop in the comments whether you like it or not. Leave a like if you liked it. Leave a like if you didn't like it. Leave a like, I don't care. Just do it. And then subscribe, please. And so yeah, I'm probably gonna be doing like switching around between gaming video, like gaming computer videos and desktop videos, and then trendy tech and yeah, things like that. And then my shorts are just kind of gonna be random. It's kind of gonna be fun, and just kind of post random fun shorts. And yeah, so motherboard video. See ya.
Bye.